Okay, well, welcome. It's 6:30. We want to get started right away. On behalf of the Springfield Chamber of Commerce, I do welcome everybody. It is great to see so many people in here. Last night, we had a pretty good full house for wards 1 and 2, and I knew 3 and 4 would not disappoint. So thank you all. I would like to introduce Lene Gutowski. Lene is going to be the moderator for the evening. She'll lay out the rules of engagement for you, and we'll get started here. So Lene's lived in the RM for over 40 years, growing up in Cooks Creek and Oakbank in a family that has been very well immersed in business, equestrian, recreation, and I think that if you know the Gutowskis, you would also know that's an understatement. Her resume ranges from medical administration, self-employment, entertainment, industrial retail, and for the last 15 years, she's been employed with Boxstall Construction. And we also learned she's also been a pizza maker, so she corrected and added that in last night, which we appreciated. She's been brought up to continually give back to the community, and she does. She's been an active volunteer in a variety of programs and events for over 25 years, a former member and award-winning speaker with Prairie Voices Toastmasters, currently an executive member of the Oakbank Community Club, and is one of the founders and co-chair of Ad Hoc Entertainment, the group that brings you Chicken Days, everybody's favorite. So, Lene, on behalf of the Springfield Chamber of Commerce, and really, I think the community, I'll speak for the community, thank you, because this is probably not going to be the best time you've ever had. Here you go.
Thank you, Shandy. I sound so important there. But no, really, I'm sitting here welcoming the citizens that are engaged and interested in Ward 3 and 4. This election's coming up in less than 3 weeks, October 26th, but also the RM of Springfield as a whole. Now, Ward 3 and 4, you know, with the boundary changes and stuff, is quite a large responsibility. I mean, Ward 3 dips in under Birds Hill Park and goes right to almost the RM of Broken Head and takes in villages, recreation, business, and agriculture. Then you've got Zone 4, a very large ward that takes in villages again, industrial corporation now, and again, agricultural. You both deal with aggregates and you both deal with the issues that are concerns of the RM of Springfield as a whole. So I thank you for stepping up. Now I'll have you guys introduce yourselves a little bit coming up, but I just want to say thank you for stepping up. You guys are the ear and the voice of moving forward in 2022, 2023 to represent the citizens of the RM of Springfield, but again, specifically Wards 3 and 4. Now, one of the things that interests me in doing a lot of research and reading and being part of the RM, this particular RM stands out alone in all of the Manitoba municipalities. I've done things for the AMM myself, and we deal with industrial, we deal with aggregates, we deal with agriculture, we deal with farming, we deal with one of the fastest growing communities development, residential. We deal with, again, I think I said equestrian, we deal with small business, we deal with large corporation. So it's a big responsibility. So I give you guys kudos for stepping up. There's a lot of issues and a lot of concerns, but also a lot of good things. And so I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for the organizing and the platform and all the work that they do to give you this opportunity to hear your candidates for your area. Before we start, though, we'll be doing some housekeeping rules. It's important to me that you put away your cell phones and pagers, or put them on vibrate or silent. In the event of an emergency, we're supposed to say that the exits, you know where they are as you came in, are the front door, and the washrooms are out in the hallway, straight east of you. But more than that is respect, okay? We're not going to have any cheering, jeering, biting, kicking, anything like that, okay? We're all about respect. And in a world of social media, and we've all seen the rant and rave pages, remember, you're documented for life. Worst case scenario, you're in the crime support or crime thing in the Clipper. You don't want that. So let's all behave. Let's be respectful. We are going to give each candidate 3 minutes to answer 5 questions that came into the Chamber of Commerce, 5 formed questions, and we'll let them speak in random order. I've got a little timer here and a little app that will let me do that. I found last night, though, that people were mostly respectful. They capped their responses in 3 minutes. After that, though, we are going to pick out of a hat some random questions. We had a dozen or so questions random, and we're going to put you on the spot, and each one of you can answer a different one. Lastly, we will take audience questions, but we're going to invite you and put you on the spot. If you have a voice, we're going to invite you to come up to the microphone. It's very easy to write it down on a piece of paper, but then it becomes a little bit of a cluster freak, because who's priority? So those of you that have the ability to come up and ask your question, we welcome you to do that. So this is a little bit of a different format. So again, with us here we have from Ward 3, Mr. Mark Miller and Mr. Les Tripp. From Ward 4, we have Councillor Valerie Rolke and Melinda Warren. We are missing tonight Mr. Wilfred Funk. He has mobility issues. He's just had surgery, so you can certainly reach out to him if you read your online clipper today and or get it in the hard copy tomorrow. You will see a platform by all the candidates. You're certainly welcome to reach out to Mr. Wilfred Funk. So on that note, before I start with the first questions, which of course I moved, right? We're going to go in order for this first one, because we're going to kind of throw you off here. This is not your pre-sent questions, which they were sent on September 27th, so they've had some time to review their responses. But for me and for the Chamber of Commerce, if we could have you introduce yourself, but more importantly, answer why you want to run for councillor of Ward 3, Mr. Mark Miller.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Lene. First, I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce, Shandy, for organizing this event. I think it's integral for our community to be involved and engaged in this kind of thing. You know, I was a member of the Chamber of Commerce for the City of Winnipeg on the Environment Committee for many years, and we dealt with a whole variety of complex issues affecting diverse range of enterprises in Winnipeg, from, of course, manufacturing to residential development. Just a bit about myself. We first bought 5 acres on Garvin Road some 26 years ago, but what we found was that that piece of property was actually not draining well, and we have horses, and so we had to basically go for higher ground, and we bought different pieces of property and now live on Melrose Road with 20 acres and again with our horses. We have 2 kids, Sarah and Tim, who grew up here. They went to schools in Hazel Ridge as well as Oakbank here as well, SCI. And I can tell you that I enjoy gardening, sports, learning. I'm a graduate of the University of Winnipeg, Institute of Urban Studies. Continued to learn throughout my life at Red River College, as well as taking the Manitoba Municipal Administrators Program course, which is absolutely integral for if you want to run for council. I think you need to know that, and I think frankly, it's mandatory now for those who do get elected. I've graduated the Canadian Institute of Management, and most recently have taken courses at Harvard University in human health and the environment. And I think that's integral, not only for me professionally, but as we live here in our community. I'm 54 years old. I've worked in the environmental field for some 30 years, both with the provincial government and for not-for-profit organizations, dealing with a wide range of issues from waste management, recycling, to geothermal, ozone, and climate change. I've got lots of unique achievements from being on a team of the World Bank Organization. We did a project in the People's Republic of China, a $400 million project to have them phase out very specific chemicals. I started Manitoba's first regional recycling network, co-founded the Manitoba Geothermal Industry Association here in Manitoba, coordinated Manitoba's Climate Change Conference, hosted international study tours to Manitoba, including people from all over the world with the United Nations, and of course prepared business plans, and financial scrutiny is a key aspect of what I do because of working with nonprofits. Extensive volunteer experience, library advisory board, Christmas Cheer Board, Recycling Council, Canadian Cancer Society of Manitoba, Tomorrow Project, and so on and so on. I'm currently on the board of MAD Canada as well as the Canadian Shield Foundation. I should tell you why MAD, because I was actually in our locale here hit by 2 impaired drivers and was almost a pancake dead. So I believe passionately about keeping our roads safe. And I look forward to doing more in Springfield as your elected diplomat, as I would say, because I bring international experience locally here, and my expertise with financial management. I think we can provide better scrutiny and transparency and accountability to our council. So I'll be the champion of the environment on our council if elected. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Mr. Les Tripp, Ward 3.
Hi, everybody. Well, again, I'd like to thank Shandy for hosting this and putting it on. I'd like to thank everybody for coming. It's really impressive to see all these people that have showed up here today. I've lived in Ward 3 in this municipality for 22 years with my wife of 35 years. We have a son, 2 grandchildren. We currently live with 2 dogs and a cat. And I really think probably the reason that I'm stepping up to do this is I now have time to do it, and it's time that I stepped up and helped my community. And I think this is a valid thing to do. Now, are we to answer the first question as well? Is that
No.
This is
Just a little introduction on yourself, and again, why you wanted to run for councillor.
So I'm a retired medevac pilot. I was a pilot in the Arctic. I have raised and trained a herd of 35 horses. I was a manager of a construction company that built houses, and I currently have a business that I'm running, a small business that keeps me busy part days, 1 to 3 days a week. So obviously I have the time. I am an avid environmentalist with my wife, and we really focus on environmental issues at home. And I think that that's critical, to start out with environmental issues at home and spread that all the way to Canada-wide. And I'll enlarge on that later on. So as I said, I think that I have the time to do this. I think it's important to be a councillor and to be responsible for bringing business to this community, for caring for the community, as I'll expand on that later on too. But yeah, I think that it's critical that we look after our community environmentally, and we look after our community physically. So nice to see everybody again.
Thank you. So we're going to start from the outside again. So
I'm in the hot seat.
you're in the hot seat. Mrs. Melinda Warren,
Thanks.
Ward 4.
A little closer. Hi. Why am I running? And who am I?
And I'll get, sorry if I can interrupt, I'll give you the time, but if everybody could speak close into the microphones, we are being videotaped. This will be available to the entire RM and myself too. Speak loud and
Okay. Thanks. I've lived in Springfield, mainly in the Dugald area, for all my life, about over 40 years. I moved away when I got married for 4 years, and I brought my family. I'm not cut off yet.
No, you're not.
And I brought my family back, my husband and I, and we live on our family farm. I had my children, and my children graduated from this school, as did I. And why am I running? Well, because I'm concerned. I'm concerned that our infrastructure isn't being looked at. Our roads, drainage, especially in Ward 4, we have a lot of issues, and development. So basically, we need to look at all that infrastructure. So
We do.
We
Thank
do.
you. Thank you, Melinda. And last but not least, to tell us why and introduce herself is incumbent Ward 4 Councillor Valerie Rolke.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you all coming and taking time out of your busy lives. I know it's very, very hard to just say you're going to leave things behind at home and come out. But thank you for doing that. It is a sacrifice, and thank you, Chamber, for putting this on. Really appreciate it. A little bit about me. I have been a counselor for 4 years. I've been very proud of the time that I've been on, and I really appreciate every moment, every conversation, every meeting, and there are a lot that we go to and attend. I have lived in the area for 28 years, in Enola, in the town for 17, and the remaining of those years, we moved out of town by 1 mile. We didn't want to go too far, and we live just outside of Enola now. So that being we is my husband and my daughter. I've only got one, but we do have 3 cats and a dog. So that does keep you real quickly. What can I tell you about why I'm running? 20 years ago, back in 1999, I moved into the area in 1994. In 99, I had this lovely person knock on my door and say, hey, we need some help at the community club. We need some help. We need somebody who cares. We need somebody to come in and do something about this. Because at the time, the RM was maybe reducing infrastructure, and they were looking to demolish our community club and then focus in on something that would be more universal to all. Although I supported that, I also didn't think that we should take away from our own communities. We need to remain strong and vibrant. We need to care. We need to be there for others, and we need to be accessible. So what I noticed of 13 years of volunteering at the community club, I was then given the opportunity to present in front of council for a lot of things we needed. I needed to knock on doors to keep our club alive and fundraise for a better facility, because we did not want it condemned, and I could see how families loved coming. And it was the best place and the best experience of my life, and it is till this day, excuse me, where I met some amazing people and their children, and those children have grown up to be adults. And seeing them go to that club and their children now coming to that club is one of the most important things that a community could ever do for anybody. So I am running, I have run, I do care about people, I will continue to care, and I will do what I can to be that advocate for those who need something done, who need a voice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's always interesting to me that both Ward 3 and 4, through their tenacity, have developed a great commercial kitchen within the Enola Community Club and a brand new facility in Cooks Creek. And that stands to, that's a voice for the rural part of our RM. They have managed to be that tenacious and worked it hard. And I congratulate you all for being part of that. I know that you all in some way were. So we're going to get to the part of the formal questions, and these again were sent to the Chamber of Commerce, and they picked them randomly. They might not be the issues that you would target as your number one, but hey, we're going random, we're going fair, and we're going to scramble the order of response so that it's fair, okay? So on this round, we're going to go with number 2. Les, you'll be the first one to answer this question, and you will all answer the same question. The first question for you, Les. What do you see as the RM's top 3 priorities? Then please tell us more about your priority.
As the Chamber survey and my door-to-door campaigning has shown, the top priorities are, number 1, infrastructure investment, i.e. roads, drainage, ditches, bridges, etc. Ward 3 has a lot of farmers where drainage is super important. I've also spoken to quite a number of local residents who are concerned about drainage in their immediate vicinity. I will support Public Works in their continued efforts to address these needs. I understand in some cases there are permits required from the province to go ahead with some of the culverts. If I'm in a position to do so, I will inquire as to the process to see if it can be expedited. Number 2, hold the line on taxes, but increase services such as rural garbage pickup. This can be done through strong but responsible business development. I have received numerous inquiries as to the possibility of that happen. I truly believe it is possible. Number 3, economic development. We should always be thinking of the environment before we put a shovel in the ground. But when responsibly planned, commitment to putting that shovel in the ground must be the next step. Make no mistake, I'm not in favor of study after study. But do the study, then let's get on with it.
Thank you, Mr. Tripp. Okay, so I will repeat the question in this random order. Melinda Warren, what do you see as the RM's top 3 priorities? Then please tell us more about your top priority.
The 3 top priorities of the municipality are our infrastructure, development, and finances. When we talk about the infrastructure, especially in Ward 4, our roads are crumbling. Graders aren't there. Bridges are gone out, or people's land is below the flood area. Our water is so important, and with big developments coming, we need to make sure that our water is safe. I am hoping that we all have a strong enough voice that we can ask for more studies and get the government to look into just the sustainability of it. Because we need our water to drink. We need our water to bathe. We need our water to feed our cattle, our hogs, our livestock. The horses need it. We need to grow grass. We just need our water. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you very much for that response. So moving forward, we will move right over to Mr. Mark Miller.
Excellent. Thank you, Lene. I hate the wordsmithing and the greenwashing that certain individuals do, and I don't necessarily mean here, but in society in general. They talk about greening society, but they don't really have a concept what it is. So my first priority, as it is echoed in the Chamber survey, is absolutely infrastructure. We need to take care of our roads. We need to have the drainage, waste management, including the lagoons and water supply, the protection of our aquifer, absolutely paramount. I've got these 2 items here, and I bring them only because of a demonstration. Yesterday at the forum, 2 councillors showed or at least they tried to represent the difference between the water. This particular jug here has chloropicrin, one drop of chloropicrin and 1 drop of motor oil. You can see that there's a lot more water in this jug than there is in this jug. So we don't talk about the quantity of water. We have lots of water in Springfield. We talk about the quality. We have to continue to absolutely ensure the quality of our water. It doesn't matter how much we have. If 1 drop can contaminate a whole aquifer, or liters of it can contaminate a whole aquifer, we have to be absolutely diligent protecting that. The second one is economic prosperity. Absolute advocate for that, sustaining, attracting new business and residential development with strict adherence to the development plan to ensure communities' serene country atmosphere is preserved. We hear that campaigning. I'm sure you hear that less. We have beautiful country residences. People want that. Affordable housing would likely mean multiplexes in Oakbank and Dugald. We want to make sure our kids can afford our community. We've all seen the explosion of this, in our community. The cost of everything is just beyond belief. I have traveled extensively throughout the world, and I've seen some of the most vibrant communities in the world, and that includes Bangkok, Beijing, Dubai, Toronto, locally Houston, Texas. I can bring examples of what they're doing to attract businesses, to make it to make it an attractive community to live in for both business and for our citizens. And finally, fire protection and safety and policing. I'm speaking fast because I got 3 minutes, but critical to have a well-serviced fire protection team, no question about that. And as crime continues to uptick, we all know that, we have to ensure that break and enters are controlled. We have, as you know, 2 police services here, the RCMP and the local police. We have to analyze, are we getting value for money for both of those? I think potentially you've got 2 meritorial candidates who are looking at that as well. I'd love to work with whoever it is to make sure that we get value for our money, and that personal and commercial crimes are are mitigated and brought down, because we owe it to our community to have a safe community. Absolutely.
Thank you, Mark. And last but not least, Councillor Val Rolke.
Thank you so much. The question was, what were the RM's top 3 priorities? And I believe that providing high-quality municipal services is a very big priority for everyone in all of the municipality, let alone 3 or 4. Pertinent to the area of the municipality you live in, dust abatement, snow removal, clearing, mowing, clean and safe serviced water and sewer services are imperative to living a basic life and basic existence. So that is the priority as number 1. Rebuilding roads, infrastructure, ditching, drainage. I'm blessed to have been given the opportunity to go into a wider area of Ward 4 now that it's been changed through the boundaries. And seeing the farming that takes place and speaking to those citizens has been very eye-opening in comparison to what we have in our old 4, I guess I'll call it. We see that drainage is so imperative, how a dented culvert can make such a difference in a farmer's field. So number 1 for sure is what we need to keep continuing to focus on. Keeping taxes fair for all areas is a priority for all. It's something that is not easily done. We understand that the economy and the world and where it's been is nothing but a struggle. We know our groceries are going up. We know our gas is going up. We know everything we need to live, eat, and breathe with is going up. So it's very hard for a municipality to not be able to cover all those costs that you would all experience as well. But I know we've strived very hard to make sure we did. Number 3 is attracting all development, residential and business, to our municipality. Through economic development, the RM strives to attract all development to all areas where it is feasible to do so. Our development plan and zoning bylaw focuses on what our community has asked for, and those who attended the public hearings are what we are trying to make happen. Now, my top priority would be to continue to provide and to continue to advocate for affordable housing within our entire municipality and community. We need to work hard to attract developers who understand the need for smaller homes on smaller properties, for older citizens who want to stay in our communities and their communities where they were born. There are so many I've spoken to in the last 2 weeks that are done, they're tired. They can't stay in their homes anymore, yet they are terrified to be sent somewhere in Winnipeg or Gimli or Selkirk and that never to see their homestead again. We need to be able to provide homes for those who are younger, who are between 19 and 32, where they have found themselves still living in their parents' homes. They don't have the ability nor the income to move to Winnipeg or the desire to be away from home. It's hard for them to be told you have to move to Beausejour or you have to leave because we have nothing for you. We need to be able to make housing affordable, because when we keep what we've got, we'll be able to attract business and we'll be able to attract that grocery store that Enola needs so desperately. We'll be able to attract more business that is fair and reasonable to all within the areas that are there. So to me, that community club that got me so connected to my community makes me realize that when we have healthy, safe, affordable communities and homes for all to live in, we will attract that business and become a strong and viable community and municipality.
Thank you very much. 'Tis true that this platform and this ability to meet here tonight is sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce, and why? They've realized that they span all 4 corners of the RM with bringing in development and business and supporting that venue, but also they've also realized that they're very about community connectivity. Things like the Moonlight Madness, this forum. So one of the questions presented was, and we're going to start with Val, we're going to put you back right on. How would you attract new business to Springfield? If you do not want new business, please tell us why not.
Thank you. I want new business. So I'm not going to comment on the other. What I would do, and of course, again, having to fall back on what we know the RM currently does, I would offer tax incentives, which we have achieved, and streamlined the development agreements and access permits online. I'd like to see a hired economic development officer to create promotional materials to attract business, again, to the areas that are feasible for all. We understand we're not going to try to put business where it should not be. We want to prepare areas for appropriate development through zoning. We want the citizens, and many have been involved with our zoning process, and having your input is imperative to an RM becoming successful and staying successful. We want to establish residential developments to attract more business. Where there are people, there are healthy towns, healthy business. We will see opportunity and will want to come. The more we attract, the more allows the RM and Council to continue to offer high-quality services, like we mentioned in the first question, and without raising taxes exorbitantly. Thank you.
Thank you, Val. Okay, so we're going to move right over to Melinda.
Yes.
I will repeat the question for you. How would you attract new business to Springfield? If you do not want new business, please tell us why.
Okay. I want business in Springfield. I don't necessarily think that we need to give them tax incentives for it. Our taxes are going up. So I would like to see the businesses come. We have the Gun Road industrial area. We have 207. We have the Main Street in Oakbank. We have another area, I believe it's on 206, that's zone commercial. So there are a lot of places for businesses to come. If they come, that's wonderful, as long as everybody follows the development plan, that we stay on course. So, thanks.
Thank you very much, Linda. And last but not least, Mr. Tripp. Do you want me to repeat the question?
No, I'm good.
You're good? Okay.
We have a town right down the road that created a blueprint for us to follow. There is a multi-unit housing building just completed in Beausejour, and families are moving in, and they are filling jobs in businesses that desperately need employees. We have businesses operating here in Springfield right now, today, who desperately need staff. Possibly we could work together as the RM of Springfield, Springfield Chamber of Commerce, Business, and the School Board to offer transportation twice daily from Transcona to Springfield. We need a mindset of collaboration. We already have the school buses. They could leave a little early in the morning and return after the school day run. I think that giving business a chance to come here will actually increase our business. All we need to do is provide employees for the businesses that desperately need them.
Thank you, Mr. Tripp. Okay, next question. Oh, sorry. Oh, Mark, I'm sorry. I do have you here, right here. Sorry, Mr. Miller. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks, Lene. First off, I think it's absolutely critical to liaise, as we've all said, to work with the Chamber of Commerce, but the hundreds and hundreds of small local businesses, the home enterprises throughout our community, Les and others, you've met these people. They've got some fantastic ideas that maybe they need a little bit of support from our municipality to make them thrive. And I can think of so many, but I don't want to name them because put them at an advantage. They may have, as I say, some innovative solutions. Let's also evaluate how the tax incentive program has worked for our municipality. Has it attracted businesses? Has it retained them? And so forth. There are other models from other municipalities, including, of course, Winkler, who's been spectacular at having growth beyond what many municipalities have. Let's work with the AMM, the Association of Manitoba Municipalities, and I think also, where I was a graduate, the Institute of Urban Studies at the University of Winnipeg, and others who have this knowledge, who are the think tanks. They may have other recommendations and approaches that I think, frankly, could work for Springfield. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can see what's happened in other spots, other municipalities, and work together. Always keeping, of course, the environment as an aspect and a parameter. You know, our vibrant horse community, Lene, you know very well, it's a catalyst for many new enterprises. I would reach out to them, the Friends of Birds Hill Park. As we all know, Birds Hill Park is a thriving draw for Winnipeggers and everyone in the capital region. I think that's critical. What I was sad about, though, was this past year, and we all heard it, was that how Selkirk got that proposed $400 million solar plant. Why not us? Why not us? So we have to be aggressive. Maybe it means having a development officer or someone who's enterprising. Some municipalities have tried that to attract business as well. I'm open to the concept. I want our municipality to thrive. I want jobs here, but I want to protect the environment, and we can do both together.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. It's true. When you grow up in the RM of Springfield and you've grown up even anywhere near Cooks Creek, you are horse people. That's what they call you. But interesting little factoid, and a lot of people don't realize this. Second largest concentration of equestrians, people, outside of Calgary area in Canada. So if you're wondering why and you're bitching about those signs, please share the road. There's a reason. You're a distinct population. So we're going to go all the way over to Melinda. And I know myself, I've changed my mind on some issues. Hell, last night, listening to Ward 1 and 2, I changed my mind on some issues. But I want you to tell us, if you can, about a time that you've changed your mind on an issue.
Sure. I'm a business owner. I've been a business owner since 2007 with my husband. I make business decisions every day. We gather information, we have discussions. We make an informative decision based on those facts and what would work best for our company. We don't always agree, but we need to make decisions that are the best for our company. And it would work same too. We need to work together as a team in council. Thank you.
Thank you. Val, what are your thoughts? Have you ever changed your mind on an issue?
Who, me? No. Yeah, ask my husband. We always negotiate on pizza or Chinese food, and I do change my mind occasionally. Yes, I can't say, I must admit, I think I have really, my eyes have been open to me in the last 4 years as being a current counselor. I'd gone in there with a lot of ideas of what I was going to get and what I was going to do and what was going to happen. And let me tell you, when you have 4 other people who are giving you different reasons, options, ideas, understandings, things that come to you, you learn that it's not like it's a personal slight against you if you change your mind. It's actually a benefit, and it's something that works with the community as one. So yes, I have to say that I have learned to definitely have an open mind, a willingness to listen, and the most important thing you need is to be able to communicate with others. So we are all average people doing the best for the situation that arises, and we understand that although I may or you may have an idea of something after discussion, you might see it in a different light. Being married also requires a lot of negotiation and changing of mind, but you'll always come back to that situation which is most important to you. I feel that it's necessary to have an open mind and to change my mind, but to always outweigh those ideas that are most important to me and I stick with.
Thank you, Val. So we'll move over to Mark. And do you want me to repeat the question? Okay.
No, it's great.
Okay.
So absolutely, I liked that answer, Val. You know, it's not my way or the doorway as well. We've got to be open and receptive to new ideas. I'm definitely that way. This is a fairly easy one for me, but it's somewhat embarrassing, and I have to share with you. As many of you know, I have a passion for the environment and innovation and protecting our biosphere. Well, I was convinced by Elon Musk and many others in the media that EVs or electric vehicles are by far the best thing for the environment, and I was on that bandwagon. In fact, last year we were almost pulling the trigger on an electric vehicle. You know, it was $40,000, but we ended up actually getting a VW Golf for 20-some thousand. So I looked and assessed that. But how I learned about the issue of EVs is I did take this first course at Harvard School of Public Health. And what we did was analyzed electric vehicles versus fossil fuel vehicles. And in fact, in absolute fact, electric vehicles, their footprint or their pathway in the environment is just as harmful, or in some cases more harmful to the environment than fossil fuel vehicles. So it made me think a little bit about how we have to take this on. So this is just one thing. I'm not solid in the environment because, I've been told this and the media portrays it some way. You have to do a lot of research and look to the specialists and those that have the real information to be sound in your decision making. And so, again, one has to be open and diplomatic and respectful for other points of view.
Thank you, Mark. And Mr. Tripp.
I'm going to start by telling you a story about who I am. I'm uniquely qualified for a position on council. To be a good councillor, you must have exceptional leadership skills. My background as a medevac pilot gave me an opportunity to hone my leadership skills. Sound decision-making while considering various competing priorities is, in my opinion, a hallmark of a good councillor. As a medevac pilot in the Arctic, my decisions carried great impact. The safety of the crew and the urgent need to get a critically ill patient to a hospital were all equally important. The needs of the doctor and the nurses in the back and what they had to say about the patient had to be considered. But also the safety of the crew had to be considered. What is the runway like? How much fuel do we need? What is the weather? Etc., etc., etc. And we had to compromise all the time. It was a necessity. If we didn't, people would have died. The ability to make the right decision at the right time is one of my greatest strengths. One example would be the time we were on final approach to the runway in Coral Harbor, and the nose gear would not lock down. We circled, retrying it, to no avail. Then we opened up the floorboards in a desperate attempt to wind it down by hand. Futile. It just would not lock down. We changed direction. We flew to Rankin Inlet, where there is a paved runway, foam truck, and where our aircraft mechanic was stationed. As soon as we were within radio contact, we advised the tower of our situation. They asked us if we would give them a half hour to get 2 jets that were loading time to get airborne in case we closed the runway. We asked to do a low and over and give our company a look. They couldn't tell anything. We circled. Then our company contacted us to ask if we would attempt a landing with minimum fuel, essentially on fumes, to try and reduce any potential fire. We circled for the next 4 hours. To be a pilot in the Arctic, you need to be good at assessing what is fact versus opinion, good info versus bad info. And I'm pretty good at it because I'm still alive and here to tell you about it.
Thank you, Mr. Tripp. Okay, so this next and last question of the formulated questions that were sent to the Chamber of Commerce is going to tie in something that might put some of you folks a little on your feet a little bit. I know you've had the question for a week, but it takes some thought here in that we are a large municipality with a large school division, right? And I've often heard in my travels through Oakbank, Cooks Creek, and the Arm of Springfield, how come the Sunrise School Division and the RM don't do this together, or they're not collaborative on this point? So our question, and we're going to start again with Mark. Are there any ways in which the RM of Springfield and the Sunrise School Division could work collaboratively? And if so, could you give an example?
Absolutely, Linnea. I've been envisioning this for many years. Our daughter used to play soccer, and we used the Dugald School in the evenings. And why aren't there other events and activities, of course, in many of our schools? I was shocked yesterday, in fact, at the forum that one of the incumbent councillors said that they hadn't really engaged with the Sunrise School Division forever. And so that seemed to me kind of odd. Just this week, while on the campaign trail in my constituency, I discussed in some detail some ideas with an incumbent school trustee. And you know what? I think we need to continue to extend the olive branch, and that the Sunrise School Division and our municipality can work together to open the schools and to have synergies that can absolutely coexist. My father-in-law was the chair of the Hanover School Division for many years, as well as a neighbor that I had locally here as school trustee. So this isn't just a flash in the pan. This is something that has been on my heart and on my vision for many years, and I think I would be able to extend that olive branch again to the Sunrise School Division going forward.
Thank you, Mark. And so, Mr. Tripp, Ward 3.
Yes. And my answer to that question is, of course, there are, and we should be. For example, I've been reading a lot about shortage of skilled trade workers across the country. If that is the case, then I would think that having a trade school in RRM would be hugely beneficial. Possibly we could partner with Red River Community College or start our own school. Our children would not have to travel highways to go to Transcona or Selkirk or wherever. Once operating, this would be such a valuable asset for our local businesses to hire graduates. Pair this type of education with affordable housing that I spoke about earlier, and our skilled young adult children could actually afford to stay in the community.
Thank you, Mr. Tripp. So moving forward, Val, are there any ways in which the RM of Springfield and Sunrise School Division, with your experience, could work collaboratively?
I know we all want to, and I know that's what we all hope to achieve. In the 4 years, you hate to admit that there has been very little communication. However, we extend that olive branch regularly. I feel the RM and Sunrise School Division desperately needs to work collaboratively. Our municipality is growing, and we're going to need our infrastructure. And it's so nice to see something being done here. It's been years to see the renovation, but I understand that there's fluctuations in population growth. I understand that there's different things, and I do also understand that Sunrise School Division reaches far and wide. We aren't the only area that they service. However, there has to be better and more positive communication with the school division. We have to have a clear understanding of what we need from each other. Currently, we wonder sometimes. Our children depend on it, is what we all know, and to actively going through what is important and understanding is the most important thing we can do for our children. I think putting in quarterly meetings that forces us to get together and have that conversation and to specifically speak about our needs is something we need to establish. Thank you.
Thank you, Val. And last but not least, Melinda.
Thank you. Where am I? It is important that we all work together. We need to share information with one another for, like Val said as well. The infrastructure, our population is getting quite large. We need more schools, and we need to have a open communication line with the school division. It should be more than quarterly. It should almost be monthly, when we just get up, go for coffee, and have a discussion, right? Whether we go to their board office or they come to us, we need to sit down and discuss. Currently, I believe that the École de Good School got some help with their parking lot. That's wonderful. Here, they're getting remodeled. That's great. But the rooms are still too small. Our population is growing with all the new development in Oakbank, Dugald, Anoa. We need more room, so we need to talk.
For certain.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melinda. And it is true that anybody that's been stuck behind the 40 buses at 8:15 in Oakbank knows exactly how many kids we have out here, and that's not even to mention as you move out towards the Whitemouth area, Beausejour. But tomorrow, just on that note, the forum tomorrow is dedicated to the school trustee candidates, okay? I believe at last count there was 8 or 9. They're all very, very passionate. I've talked to a couple, and they want to see some changes within the RM Springfield, their zones of the Sunrise School Division, but also as a whole and working collaboratively. So we've come to the point in the evening. Thank you for answering those questions, folks.
Number 2, you didn't do.
Yeah, I only picked 4 because of time. Okay. But we are going to, oh, you know what? How's our time over there? We're good? Okay, so we'll resurrect that question because we were just wanting to move along here. We'll go in the opposite order then. We'll start with you, Les. Tell us about, what has been your biggest contribution to the municipality to date?
I believe that environmental health begins in our own backyard. Let's not only talk the talk, but walk the walk. Our home is designated as a certified wildlife-friendly habitat by the Canadian Wildlife Federation through the stewardship of our land. We have more than 26,000 trees planted, a large pond for wildlife to drink from, cascading waterfalls for birds to drink from and bathe in, bird feeders, drinking fountains for bees, and a large flower bed for butterflies and bees to feed from. And we are now working on part of the safe passage for migration route for the monarch butterflies. None of this was there when we moved there. I've been a part of groups who have done manual ditch cleanups. I've joined ISCM, that is to say Invasive Species Council of Manitoba, to handpick so that we could eliminate noxious weeds that were invading Birds Hill Park. I believe saving our environment is critical for individuals, municipalities, provinces, and countries, for ourselves, our children, and our grandchildren. Thank you.
Thank you, Les. We'll move over to Linda with that. What has been your biggest contribution to our municipality to date?
My biggest contribution to our municipality has been, I've raised my family here for over 21 years. I run a business with my husband which employs local residents. We also, with our business, we support some of the activities and events that happen throughout the area, like Canada Day. So that's what I contribute.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll move over to Mark for that.
Thanks again, Lene. I don't necessarily like to share these examples as they're basically contributions that I would have done regardless, right? It's not for political glory or whatever, but being a soccer coach at Cooks Creek was one of the best times of my lives, engaging with the youth and helping them learn and sport, be active in our community. I was a fundraising event coordinator for the annual Zora Cup as well. We had success with that. I was on the board of directors of Kin Place Services to Seniors here in Oakbank for many years, involved with the student councils at Hazel Ridge as well as locally here. And as head of missions for Pine Ridge Church, we supported, of course, various things in our community, from the Enola Food Bank to the Youth Center in Oakbank and so forth. Beyond that, I envision myself as being probably the strongest and biggest cheerleader for our diverse range of local interests here in our community. The unique entrepreneurial spirit and community cultural attractions, not only in our ward, Les, but throughout our community, are just amazing. So I want to be that champion to continue on this momentum. And I've already said that I belong to and or have contributed to organizations both provincially and nationally as well, but I won't go into those.
Thank you, Mark. Val.
Thank you. This one I had fun with. My biggest contribution to our municipality would be successfully renovating and the demolition of the old portion of the Enola Community Club, creating a safe community meeting place where people of all ages can go. Community centers are the main meeting place for everyone within a village. It's a place for programs, fall suppers, community events, family celebrations taking place, keeping our community strong and vibrant. It's a place where new citizens can meet other community members and feel part of a community family. When citizens experience that community spirit, they become vested in the community and begin to care and work for the community. They become leaders to others. I will forever be grateful for having the opportunity to be part of that experience. Also, sitting on task force committees to meet with all recreation centers in the RM gave us an opportunity to establish an operating grant that has been helpful to all centers with a budget to remain vibrant and strong. As a member of the current council, it has been my pride and joy to have successfully placed a sidewalk along Highway 15 for our children to use at lunchtime. Having advocated for this safety feature for our children is something I started 24 years ago. It is the one most important thing that I can say we have accomplished for our community. It has not only been a safety feature for the children and keeping them off the center of the road because I thought it was funny to run between the lines while traffic was coming. It has now kept them off the highway and onto the sidewalk. It has become a safety feature, but also a community place for the people to meet. I've had more people come up to me and tell me about that sidewalk and what it means to them. We have successfully acquired a new fire hall for Station 3, renovated Station 2, and a public works building as well in Enola. I love this community, I love this municipality, so I love being part of it.
Thank you, Val. And again, it does speak to the tenacity of Ward 3 and 4 for getting some things done that other areas can't. And I don't know why if it's because they're too diverse and they've got everything from aggregate to agriculture to commercial business to equestrian, but these two wards do stand out as a group of people in an area per se, that managed to really get some things done in the last few years, even despite COVID and the shutdowns and things. So, and I know personally that you guys have all contributed to that. So we are getting to the point now where I'm going to reach this little hat here. And these are questions picked at random. And we're going to go in the next random order. So Les, you get to be the first one to pick. Again, you have 3 minutes, and everybody's question will be a little different.
Nice rattles.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Should I read? I'll read the question.
Sure.
Okay. Before you share a statement, either verbally or online, how do you ensure that you are sharing facts? Give an example of receiving incorrect information and how you adjusted that.
It's interesting that I got that question because I recently shared something that wasn't true online. And after I found out that it wasn't true, I tried my best to delete it. And I think I tried to delete it and hit that delete button about 4 or 5 times when I found out that it wasn't a true statement. It wasn't being deleted. Whoever had put it on there had managed to ensure that it was going to stay on. So I learned my lesson. In the future, I will do due diligence before I put something online. But normally, when I find out that there's something that I have heard that is stated to me as a fact, I will check with the people that I know and go to the source sometimes to find out what is the real situation and whether or not it's a true situation.
Thank you very much for that sincerity and honesty. We all know that social media, God forbid, rant and rave, you are now documented forever. So it's a bit of a work to try to get a statement removed. So we'll go right to Melinda. Melinda, random question.
Random question. You want to take this one?
And I'll read it out for you. Give it a chance. That's a little different one, eh?
Yeah, what the heck?
Okay, but just pause. Highlight your understanding of the chain of command in the workplace and how, if elected, you will apply it to your own position.
Chain of command. Okay. I look at chain of command as you have in this case, it would be you, the taxpayers, are telling us the issue. If we don't know the answer, we go to our department heads and the employees to get the department heads to get the answer, and then it gets dealt with. So there is a chain.
For certain. Thank you. Thank you. Anything else? You're good?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Mark, your turn. Oh, timingly. Okay. So, Mark, how have you used social media in your current campaign? Give both positive and negative feedback that you have received.
Absolutely. Thanks for the question. Well, as many of you know, I do use social media, whether it be a little bit of interaction on Oakbank's Rant and Rave or through Facebook. I do have a website. I think there's one or two other candidates that do have a website, so I try to portray and give as much information I can about myself and where my positions are. Absolutely. I do have Instagram. I do have Facebook and those other ones as well. I know those people aren't as engaged with those, but that definitely is out there. In terms of facts, well, I just call a spade. I mean, my position is my position. I don't know that I've provided any inaccurate information at this point. I look through research and make sure that it's consistent to what is out there, whether it be on summary documents, financial documents from the RM or other things. I'm not one of these who tries to stir the pot in terms of, as Les said, promote wrongful information, and I don't think it benefits anyone. So I just try to be succinct and to the point and accurate as best I can.
Thank you, Mark. Val, you pick, I'll read. All right, what do you see as the biggest social challenge facing Springfield?
Oh, my.
Yeah, that's kind of a
We
round-
don't have a social challenge. I think Springfield communicates very well. We have so many different websites and places of information and rant and raves and websites, and I think we have 3, Oakbank 1, 2, and 3. We have community pages, we have Springfield, we have, the RM has their own Instagram account, they have their own Facebook, they have their own page. Socially, we have the Chicken Days Parade, which is the most exciting, wonderful experience that I think we've all had. Anola had the Night of Lights prior to COVID, and we had people coming from all over, different municipalities, different areas. Socially, I don't know if we're struggling. Oakbank would benefit from a recreational center where we could get a whole lot more social, where we could have a lot more community gathering. I'm going to say we're not suffering socially.
Okay, fair enough. Good answer. And it's true, one of the questions that came from the audience last night was, what would these councillors-elect or incumbent do to make for more transparency? And one of them pointed out, and it's very, very true, unless you're absolutely not tech savvy, it's not that hard. The RM of Springfield does, in fact, post their agendas, their minutes. The Clipper posts things, the Rant and Rave posts things, but you know what? At the end of the day, every single one of you, and I have confidence with this and what we heard from Ward 1 and 2, it's a phone call, people. Transparency is about you reaching out. It's a phone call. So I can appreciate that. So now, we're going to take questions from the audience, but we are going to task you to come up to the microphone. Puts you a little bit on the spot, keeps you a little less anonymous, but it will, and you can ask one counselor or you can ask them all. But do we have any questions out there? All right, sir. I invite you to come up here. And again, you can ask one counselor or you can ask random.
I don't know if random's here. I'd like to know your position, each of you, on the silica sand mining that's proposed for Vivian, the CO silica sand mine. This has been ongoing for a while, and it's a threat to the environment. That's my view. I'd like to hear your view. We are now facing a municipal board hearing on the 19th and 20th, just announced this week, and they are asking to have a change of zoning specifically for their plant as an industrial processing plant, MRP. This is unique, and I'd like to hear your position. I may have a supplement.
Does anyone want to take that on first?
Sure, I will.
Okay, Mr. Tripp.
Well, first of all, I would like to say that myself, along with, I'm willing to bet every person here is really concerned about our water. And why wouldn't you be? Without our water, without the good water that we have here, our community, our municipality becomes something less, a lot less. So with that in mind, the first thing that I would say is technologically, I don't have the credentials to say this is a bad thing or this is a good thing. I would like to think that the environment that we have is being looked at by people who have a lot of training in that area. And I would like to see, I would like to see those people do due diligence. Certainly the province has environmental hearings about this, and they've studied it and studied it and studied it. So that's the first thing. And I think that's the first hurdle that has to happen for CO Silica. The second thing that has to happen is they have to have a permit to extract that silica sand. And then last, the municipality has to make a decision whether they're going to let them put their plant where they're applying to put it. So personally, I can't say that I'm qualified to say silica sands is a bad thing or a good thing or in between. But I really hope that whoever's in charge in province of the environment, that they're checking up on this thing, they're accurate, because I think that's what it comes down to, is we have to trust our scientists.
Did you say you had a supplement, sir? Or is that?
Oh, Randy.
Mark, you'd like to
Randy.
answer that? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, of course, this is near and dear to my heart. About 2 weeks ago, I met with a senior official from CO Silica, and of course, he portrayed how courageous this initiative will be. It'll create 60 jobs, $114 million investment in our community, and ongoing and economic benefit. And that is true. That is probably very true. What we don't know, in the scheme that he didn't tell me, is, of course, the environmental impact. We understand there's going to be some 9,000 drilled samples or cores or production wells done throughout the life of the enterprise. So, kind of building on this, I would say, first off, as a municipality, we have to have what's called the first rights to water bylaw. That is being proposed. You may have seen it in some of the literature. We need to protect our aquifer amongst all things, not just this initiative, but many others. We have to hold that company accountable, and yes, as Les says, we need to rely on the experts. Even though I've been in water management and environmental services for many years, I don't call myself an expert. I have to lean on those who have better expertise than myself. But we do know, Mr. Spear, that in fact, the early reports that we have is that anything that disturbs our aquifer to that level will have an absolute impact to our environment. Again, looking at these jugs, it's not the quantity of water, it's the quality of water, and we have to safeguard that. Any substance, whether it be the what we call the fabricating or lubricating solvents that they use to get the silica out, could have risk to contaminate our aquifer. And I'm glad absolutely that I'm on record on YouTube to show this, because if in 4 years, if I'm not elected or some other council is elected and this aquifer goes down south, that, you know, we left it vulnerable, and that's not what we can afford to do. I will be the champion making sure that that company is held absolutely accountable, and that our first rights to water is for our municipality and our citizens.
Thank you, Mark. Does that answer your question, sir? Would you like to answer? You are zone Ward 4.
Ward 4 it is.
It is.
That's where it is.
Thank you, Mr. Spears. No one, including this entire RM and the council that runs it currently would ever want to intentionally damage our water or have any contamination whatsoever. We, the RM, are operating under the legal parameters of what we are allowed to do. We, as a council, have stated repeatedly, we do not and will not make a decision on this because this is not ours to make. Currently, the province of Manitoba governs and is in charge of mineral rights. But I can assure you again and again, time after time, statement after statement, this council, including myself personally, will do whatever it takes to keep our water safe.
Thank you. Melinda, do you have anything to add?
They all said it.
They all said it, okay. Well spoken. Do you have a supplement, sir?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
That is, we know for a fact that the matter that's before the municipal board is a matter of whether us as constituents have a say in how this project goes forward. And this application is proposed to bypass us as citizens. And this is in spite of the fact that in June, this came before council, council considered it, and they denied it unanimously. Okay? It was also based on the recommendation of the province, the regional planner in Beausejour, to deny it. Okay? Also was on the part of the WSP planners who developed our development plan and zoning, and they said no. Our own planning officer said no. And now they're back saying, we want a new answer. That's my point.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any amendment or anything they'd like to add to that comment?
Yeah, Lene, if I may, and I've seen this internationally where these companies come in, and I'm going to use the word bluntly, but rape third world developing nations. They exploit them for mineral resources, they exploit them for everything, and then they take off. Or they go bankrupt and no one can track them because they're not held financially liable. And so I don't want this happening in our backyard, absolutely. I will fight to ensure the safety of our aquifer going forward, whatever that takes. If it's working with the Minister of Environment, doing a petition, lobbying the government, whatever it takes, our aquifer will not be affected if my vote comes to council. It cannot be. I will not risk that for my kids, my family, and our citizens. Forget it.
Thank
I
you.
would advise everybody here to stay tuned, because this is not a good thing for Springfield.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Spears. Is there anybody else out there with a question to anyone? Oh, sir, please come up.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not running for council, nor do I want to, but I do have something here for council, for the upcoming council to think about. The agricultural portion of this Oakmine Springfield area is the largest agricultural area in Manitoba. Now, we're concentrating on the towns, we're concentrating on every other bloody thing except the agricultural end. This year, with the way the rains and the way it was with the weather, the farmers were flooded out. I live on the farm, and I don't operate a farm. I've got a business in Beausejour, and I've been in business all my life. But I brought up on the farm, and I live on the farm. But what's happening there, the farmers have been flooded out. Talk to the RM about cleaning the ditches. They'll mow along the edge of the road. They're not worried about the flow of water. Everything looks pretty, it looks nice, but it's not practical. What you need is something there for the farmers to get the water drained off their property. On our property and the surrounding area, there probably was 50 to 100 acres just in a little area. I was on the phone for 2 days with the province, trying to get the province to open up culverts that are the municipal problems, and the province did come out to do it, and it's the municipality's responsibility to clean them and clean the ditches, but they're not doing it. Municipality says it's the province, and the province says we look after highways, we don't look after the ditches. It's the RM's responsibility, and the RM is neglecting there. And every time I phone the RM and they talk to the RM about that, they say it's the province, and they're wrong. I spoke to the province this week, and they told me it is the RM, it is our responsibility. If in business, for the years that I've been in business, the years that the farmers are doing well, everything booms. And it's not just 1 or 2 years we've noticed it. It's over and over again. When the weather is bad and things aren't going good for the farmers, the economy goes to shit. When everything is going good for the farmers are doing well, the whole bloody province is doing well. The whole country is doing well. Now, we concentrate on these little things that really don't mean anything. If the farmers went for a shit here in this municipality, there wouldn't be a municipality here. It would be gone. And we concentrate on every other bloody thing except what should be important is the farmers and the infrastructure that they need to keep their operations going. Now, what's happening out there, the smaller farmers, and I'm talking smaller farmers, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 acres, are selling their land because they can't cope with what's happening out there with the weather, with the drainage and everything else.
Thank you. We got about 20 seconds on your time here.
Well, just give me a couple more minutes.
We are timed here, just so you know, so that we can move along.
Well, all I'm saying is that give the farmers some consideration in council. I know who I'm voting for now after listening to the meeting here tonight. But use some bloody common sense in running council, at least. It's not everything. And the only other thing that bothers me about what's gone on here, we had 5 wards in Springfield. They changed it to 4, made 2 in Oakbank and 2 in the rural areas where all the farmers are. Now, who's going to have the say now in what happens in this municipality? Is it the people out in the country? Not on your life.
Okay, sir, I will cut you off at that point.
That's good.
Okay, thank you for your concerns and your comments. Does anybody want to put themselves out there and respond to the lack of interest in the agricultural areas? Mark?
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for the question and your concerns. I'm concerned myself why you haven't had any action over the last 4 years. And that's not on my watch. That's on, I can look elsewhere on somebody else's watch. But having said that, agriculture producers are integral for our community, certainly on our ward. No question about it. I have family and friends that are that. My father came from a farm in Saskatchewan, and he was run off that farm because of industrial development and so forth. But going forward, your other concern about the wards too, I saw that. I was against when they moved from 5 councillors to 4 for the exact point what you said. Is there's no question, I say it in my literature, I say it on my website, Oakbank will have more power than the rest of the community. And so if I was elected in my ward, I would open that up, as we can do in the Municipal Act, to see if we can revise those wards and maybe make more councillors. And, in fact, not add to the payroll, because it seems in past, I won't get into that.
Thank you, Mark. Does anybody else want to respond to that?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Tripp.
Again, I also thank you for your question, sir. And as I said in my opening statement, one of the things that I am very concerned about is drainage in the area. And I did mention the fact that the farmers are actually facing a problem with drainage as it is right now. Not only are the farmers feeling that, I've also spoken to homeowners are saying that, in fact, I spoke to somebody just the other day who was saying that the flooding water had come within 10 feet of their house, and that happened to them 3 times this year. So yes, drainage is a big issue. There is some kind of issue that we have to work with the province on it, getting permits, putting culverts in, and so on like that. But having said that, yes, drainage is definitely an issue, and I've spoken to a number of farmers who have said there is an issue. In fact, there's the issue right there in some cases. In one case, I guess, not some cases, a culvert was put in where the high end of the culvert should have been the low end of the culvert, and that prevented drainage there. But there are cases where it backs up onto fields, and I see it year after year, and that's certainly something that has to be addressed. So I agree with you. That's really important.
Thank you, Mr. Tripp. Now, in lieu of time here, ladies, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
I'm just going to say that Ward 4 is a very large area, almost too large. There is a lot of farmland, a lot of farmers that do have quite a lot of issues. Whether in the field it doesn't drain because the culvert is crushed by us mowing the ditch. I've had a few complaints about that already. We do definitely need to look at that. Yeah, that's...
Okay, thank you. Val?
Yes, drainage is a concern. Please, if anybody has an long-standing issue, please contact your counselor. I want to assure you that although my ward has expanded ×2, I will dedicate my time to all of you, and I will be there. By all means, nothing's set in stone when it comes to the wards. You can always go through the province. There is nothing stopping us from changing it back. Within the next election term, if it comes that citizens are very interested in having an additional ward counselor, by all means, that can be done. So please don't think that that's been set in stone. It's not. But yes, by all means, I know we're familiar with some of these drainage issues that have been mentioned, and we do strive to improve them at all times.
Thank you, Val. Anybody else out there have a question or a concern? If not, what I am going to do... Oh, sorry. Please.
This is another drainage issue. In the late 80s, they built a weir on Cooks Creek to send water down the diversion. A few years later, they changed that weir into a dam. This year, the water level on the south of that dam was 2 feet lower than what was going north. This is creating a lot of drainage problems. I don't know what data this change was made, like what data they decided to do that. But when I investigate, not only do you have to deal with the province, like you said, the municipality, but you also have the drainage board. And they keep passing the buck from one to the other, and you really don't know how to get something accomplished. I've contacted Val, crickets. I contact the drainage board, nothing there either. But yeah, since '97, when we had the Great Flood, things have been backing up through the land, washing off the topsoil down the... So it's an environmental hazard, and that dam has to be changed back to a weir so that water can go north on Cooks Creek.
Thank you. Anybody have a comment regarding this?
Yeah.
I will.
Certainly, Val.
Melinda Warren, you forgot to add what you did for the municipality. When Parrish and Heimbecker built the elevator, and when the municipality dug the extra well, you went to great lengths to let all levels of government know how that changed the water quality in the surrounding area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Val?
Yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge that I'm not sure I received anything on that, but please contact, the V. Rolke at rmofspringfield.ca, and then we're going to pass you on to the Northeast Red Watershed District. I'll take it with me to the meeting, because there's going to be one more meeting before the next election, and we'll discuss this. Just please send me some pictures if you can. We'll get on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Val. Anybody else? Okay, sir. Certainly, by all means. Microphone's on.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Corey. I live on Melrose Road. I've been a resident of Springfield for, how long have I been a resident of Springfield? 36 years. I just want to go back to a question, Val, that you answered, and I think you missed the point. What are the social issues that are impacting Springfield? And I think it wasn't to do with social media. I think it's more to do with our children. It's more to do with poverty. It's more to do with our economic situation at the present time. So we are facing some real challenges in the world today. And what social issues are being impacted here in Springfield? How many people are accessing the food banks? How many people are accessing shelters? Do we have shelters in Springfield? Are there situations that we need to be aware of moving forward? I want to know when a social issue is brought to council, and we have 4 councillors and a mayor, that mayor is going to make the decision most of the time. So what are you going to do as a councillor if social issues arise and you really believe in that issue and it doesn't go your way? What are you going to do?
Okay, thank you, Jerry.
Thank you for that. Do understand that the mayor is one vote, just like the rest of each councillor. We are all one vote. We all are allowed our own opinion and our own thoughts when it comes to a social issue or any issue at hand. What we did as a council and what we do as an RM is we, through COVID, actually donated a lot more money to support the Springfield food banks and the Enola food banks, and we added, even through our own award appropriations, to all of the citizens who need it, and we never stopped until they said that they had had enough. So we have supported anything in any social aspect where it comes forward to us. We, the municipality, don't cover any of these health issues because we don't have the services of a hospital or a clinic that is run by the municipality. So what we do is we definitely address you and send you on to different areas where you can be served and you can be taken care of. So by all means, don't ever think we can't help you. Call the RM, call the front desk, and we can find something for you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to respond to the question of the social needs, per se? Mark?
Just a quick couple of points. Obviously, services for seniors, those are amongst the most vulnerable in our society. We have to make sure that we continue to work with Diane at the office to do that. No question about that. The youth in our society, too, needs to have activities, again, through the schools and through extracurricular activities, obviously through Enola and Cooks Creek and Hazel Ridge and other centers. We need to absolutely continue to engage them to make a positive opportunity for them to improve their mental health. So there's lots of things we can do to improve the social services in our community at very little cost with partners across this municipality.
Thank you, Mark. Anybody else here? Okay, I think we had one more person with a question here. Sir, by all means.
This question is for Val. We received in our mail a glossy folder. You're familiar with it? Was there a lie anywhere in there?
There were some mistruths.
Can you give me an example, please?
I would have to have that flyer in front of me in order to do that. Did anybody bring one?
Thank you. Mr. Brown, are you going to share this flyer? Yep. Okay. Remember, we are timed here. Okay, so. We'll give Val a minute.
Thank you.
here.
Yeah, I
We'll
gotta
give
see
her a bit
which-
of a minute here.
The simple. Is there one you're interested in discussing?
Oh, I'd just like to hear something that you have to say. Or for that matter, any of the other counselors.
Let's see, there's one here about the comparison that was made for the inconsistent decisions on planning matters. It is stated here, there's a comparison between White Shepherd Holdings and Sokol Farm. What I can tell you is that council treated both equally the same, and it was the province who made the decision through a municipal hearing that decided who was going to get it and who was not. It was not council.
Thank you.
Anything else?
You asked for one, that's all we've got for tonight.
Certainly, there are going to be some groups either on the fringe or on the far right or far left, given our template of the last couple of years. And again, I talked last night about how Ward 3 and 4 specifically, because somebody close to me said the other day, you know, you are representing that particular area, but we can all see it's very apparent that we're dealing with some big RM questions. So, thank you, sir, for that question. I think on that note, though,
We're out of time.
we're out of time.
Okay.
But we're also going to ask if anybody, well, we'd like you to maybe sum up with about a minute and a half, if you'd like to, any closing remarks, and we'll start with you over here, Melinda.
I just want to say that I'd be happy to represent all of you in the next council. And please come out and vote and have your say. Because if you don't vote, you can't yell at me. Thank you.
Val, we'll just go in order this way.
Okay. Yes, I want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank you for all the questions. It's all about being aware of what's going on within your municipality. Out of 16,000 in the entire municipality, and I'm sure half of that out of the ward in Ward 4 and 3, we'd be equal now. So the whole idea behind that was fair and equal representation from the province, which was a requirement for our community to do. And we did go to the community to actually vote on what they wanted, whether they wanted 4 or whether they wanted 6. The citizens voted, and they went with 4. They went with a reduction. So we're going to do our best to do this for you and get it right, and I can tell you it'll be great. We've had a wonderful 4 years, and I can only promise you another very successful 4 years. So thank you for coming out. Thank you, Chamber. Thank you for the questions.
Thank you. Mr. Tripp.
Yes, again, I'd like to say thank you for everybody that came out. I can see by the number of people that are here that there are a lot of people who care, and that's important. Just in a closing statement, I'd just like to say that I've given you ideas, examples, and thoughts about some of my priorities. If you just focus on the issues, when new issues come up, what next? What then? But really what I want you to walk away with is a sense of who I am as a person. I don't work in an executive office. I've flown airplanes. I've instructed at Red River Community College. I've been the officer of primary importance in a cadet training program to teach people, young people, how to fly. I've raised and trained a herd of 35 horses. I ran a house building crew, and now I have a home inspection business that keeps me busy 1 to 3 days a week, part days. I would never tell you I have all the answers, but I do want you to know that I listen more than I talk. I am brutally honest, and I am committed to do my very best for Springfield, and I'm asking for your vote on the 25th of October, 26th of October.
Thank you, Les. Mark?
Thanks again, Lene, and thanks for everyone coming out. Who are the 2 most disliked people in society? It's politicians and car salespeople, right? You know, well, I wouldn't go that far maybe, but, and it is because of accountability, isn't it? Accountability is responsibility on your decisions, holding you accountable for your decisions you make. You know, this last council, some members voted themselves a significant increase. What do provincial and federal politicians do? The first thing they do, oh, the electorate won't remember in 4 years. Let's give ourselves a nice increase. I assure you, I will not do that. I'm against it. I've always been against it. I think politicians should be serving our community, not taking from our community, the taxpayer hard-earned dollars, which include mine. So I want to encourage everyone to exercise their vote, to see me as a diversely qualified candidate who will work hard to earn your trust between elections, not just 4 years out, and know that I'll be fiscally conservative, be the environmental specialist on council to protect our aquifer, rely on experts, and to look to the environment by balancing responsible growth and economic prosperity for our community. That's what you'll get if you consider my candidacy.
Thank you, Mark. And so my closing remarks would be this. Heard a little interesting conversation last night. When you step up to the plate and you put your name out there, first thing you're going to get is, 7 binders of development plan, right? Then you're probably named to several AMM communities. Yes, this is a civil volunteer, but it's a full-time job. You talk to any counselor in the last 8 years. This is a full-time job, so let's give these people a hand. They stepped up to do that for you. They all want your vote, and they all want to be there for you. Nobody's in this business for free and for the goodness of their health. They're doing this because they care about Ward 3, Ward 4, and the RM as a whole. And at the end of the day, we don't decide the issues. We decide on the people that decide the issues. So let's give them a hand. Thank you. And thank you to the Chamber of Commerce and all the people setting up the technical and who developed this program. Tomorrow, just a reminder, we have the school trustees. I think there's 8 or 9 of them. 9. And then on Friday, we have the mayoral forum. So hope to see some of you there. Thank you.